Invite Dr. Kaushik Banerjee from AOAC. And before inviting Sir on screen, I would like to give a small introduction. Dr. Kaushik Banerjee is a principal scientist from the ICAR National Research Center for Grapes, Pune, India. He is the 2017 Harvey W. Woolley Awardee, which is the topmost scientific award of the AOAC International for his contributions to analytical sciences in relation to food safety. He is a fellow of the Indian National Academy of Agriculture Sciences and the Royal Society of Chemistry, FRIC UK. He is also the current chairman of the India section of AOAC International. Dr. Banerjee has widely published in peer-reviewed journals, being a member of the Food Safety Standards Authority of India's scientific panels and working groups on pesticide residues and methods of sampling and analysis. He regularly contributes to the development and implementation of food safety standards in India. His area of research focuses on the development of efficient analysis methods for the sensitive and confirmatory estimation of contaminant residues in agriculture and food matrices, and risk assessment studies for fixation of crop specific maximum residue limits. Besides, he is also pursuing research on profiling of plant metabolites of nutraceutical potential using high resolution mass spectrometry. Now, I would like to invite on screen Dr. Kaushik Banerjee.
Thank you. Greetings to you all. It's a great privilege that we are going to have today's program on food authenticity, food adulteration, and thanks Thermo Fisher Scientific for joining with the India section of AOSC International, which is, you know that India section is a vibrant AOSC section. A lot of program we do every year, throughout the year, and this is one of the important subject area, which is focus area, I should say, that food adulteration, food authenticity, food fraud, and we are having Bart Poppin today with us, who is a world leader in this, world recognized expert. And thanks, Bart, for joining this conference. And I also congratulate all the speakers to be a part of today's program. For the information of you all, that food authenticity, food fraud, and food adulteration are the prime focus areas of AOAC section's activities. Last year, on 11th November 2020, we had our first virtual conference on food authenticity and safety. And this program was attended by people across the globe, not only from India. It was participated by people from various other sections. And this is our second endeavor in this subject. So I'm quite excited that probably today again we are going to have a very, and I'd like to briefly outline the techniques of authenticity testing, which are very much important for this region as well as all over the globe. Now, food adulteration is basically a fraudulent practice which people does intentionally, and mostly people do food adulteration, food fraud to secure certain economic gain. But what makes us very much concerned is if such acts are associated with public health issues, especially if it causes human illness, animal illness, and even death. So then it becomes a very important food safety issue as well. So here you can see that although these are little bit old figures, but almost 10% of the food products that we consume, they have some or other fraudulent component, or we are not sure about their source. I remember that even in case of components which are declared on the label of the food commodity, sometimes we see that those components are not present, or sometimes we see that something is present which is not expected to be present. So if you look at the nature of food fraud, there are several types. It basically represents economically modified adulteration. So there are 8 categories. First is dilution of substitution. For example, we often talk about olive oil, which is adulterated with cheaper oil, and sometimes extra virgin oil, what we get in our markets, they're often having dilution with certain cheaper normal edible oils. We have come across with the situation of artificial enhancement. That means something is added which increases the volume. For example, pomegranate juice is known to get adulterated with beetroot juice, and sometimes in chili powder we often talk about addition of red dye, which gives very attractive color, but actually it's a health hazard to the consumers. We talk about use of unapproved biocides. For example, last couple of years we talk about this formaldehyde contamination in fish in Indian market. So that was a big story, and then our ICL Institute, CIFT, came out with a kit to identify formaldehyde contamination. Removal of authentic constituents, for example, spent paprika powder in paprika, spent ground pepper in black pepper powder. These are well known to the consumers. Mispresentation of nutritional value, false claim in nutritional level. Something is declared on the label, but actually that's not the reality. Fraudulent labeling, for example, something is labeled as organic product, but it is having history of pesticide addition, pesticide application. Sometimes we talk about halal, and wild caught fish is sold, which is actually not wild caught, but it's a cultured fish. So, besides, we are also aware of counterfeit products that carry a similar looking label of a reputed brand. So, these are the problems which we are all aware in our regular public dealing, regular activities. So, what is food authenticity? You know that food authenticity is a process of providing a food or food ingredient in its original form. That whatever is the genuine form, which is verifiable and intended to be used. So, whatever we talk about authentic, we have problem if something which is declared and represented is not present in the commodity which is sold. Authenticity testing is utilized to prove that the content of food products are authentic and the way they are presented is correct and accurate. So what happens when food is not authentic? When food is not authentic, it's always not a big serious issue. It could be sometimes health hazard, it may not cause any health hazard. If it does not cause any health hazard, so then people are open, they are not bothered about that. But certain other issues are there which always bothers us. For example, if we purchase something which is a fraud material, then for a citizen like us, it's always an economic loss. We may feel being cheated. For a business house, it is causing reputational damage. If something is coming out as a fraudulent material, it could cause financial loss because sometimes people may go to court and challenge the product. And there are health risks, as I said, that there could be certain toxic substance in the commodity, which is not supposed to be present in that. Sometimes we talk about this organic products which may contain pesticide, and then which is not supposed to be present there. So if a food labeled as organic commodity, if it contains a pesticide residue, then it's a health risk. Indirect means exposure to long-term or chronic toxicant. So if you look at the food chain, food supply chain, so you see that food supply chain starting from crop production to consumption, there are so many steps, and at every step there are possibility that a higher value food item may get replaced with a lower value item, and this finally causes a fraud material to be in the market. Now, considering the importance of these food fraud issues in developed world, there are certain public health database available, And these databases often talk about the history of food fraud in those regions, and they document various issues, and they also help the policymakers or government bodies to develop proper policy or appropriate policy so that such food fraud issues can be stopped or can be reduced. So, for example, if you look at USP database, there are almost top 10 items that are frequently reported for food fraud. Yeah. So these are the top ingredients. You know that the milk, extra virgin olive oil, honey, these are the products which are well known that these are adulterated. These may have some cheaper material addition or sometimes some synthetic material present in these. These are the top ingredient groups which are, as per various database records, are supposed to be frequently adulterated. For example, these are topped by dairy ingredients, then seafood, meat, poultry, milk, cream, olive oil, and all. So these are the top ingredient groups which often cause various concern to public health distribution system as well as our regulators. Similarly, if you look at the major fraud types, I already discussed it that these are the major fraud types like dilution, substitution, etc. etc. So there are different technologies by which we can identify food authentication. There are two era of food authenticity testing. If you look at 2003 to 2007, this is the time when vibrational spectroscopy used to dominate. And gradually 2008 to till date, whatever technologies are coming up, you see that there is a balance. There are various types of technologies which includes vibrational spectroscopy, NMR, mass spectrometry, and certain other things which are frequently used, like which includes DNA-based methods, which probably today we are going to discuss a lot in our subsequent deliberations. So if you look at the techniques and applications, vibrational spectroscopy like FT-IR, FT-Raman, near-infrared, these are often used as a non-invasive and non-destructive techniques. Several of such applications are available for identification and adulteration in edible oil, herbs, and spices. In our Food Safety Standards Authority of India's rapid testing program, they have not many kits where vibrational spectroscopy based kits are used. Mass spectrometry is a largely used technique which is used always in combination of GC or HPLC. So it's either a GCMS or a HCMS. So these kind of techniques, they provide food fingerprint based on identification of certain marker compounds which are very unique for that particular commodity or commodity matrix. And sometimes these marker compounds can indicate the freshness or extent of spoilage of a food item, which is very important in such cases, especially for fresh food items. So usually such kind of instrumentation like GCMS or HCMS provides a simple workflow where a sample is usually extracted by a generic approach. It could be a methanol extraction or acetylnitrile extraction. Then it is analyzed by GCMS or HCMS. And this is usually followed by a strong data processing system where compound identification and statistical analysis, everything is done simultaneously. And this type of technology, they usually provide qualitative information. That means presence or absence of compound, the profile of compounds, their quantitation, like what is the concentration, what is the level of these compounds, or at least relative proportion of such compounds, and also discovery information. For example, if any unknown metabolite is there, or if any unknown contaminant is present in a particular sample. So by a single analysis, such kind of comprehensive testing provides all inclusive information. Authentication of agro input is necessary, especially for organic cultivation. In India, it's a very important subject that we grow a lot of different agriculture crops, a lot of different food commodities, and sometimes these materials which come into the market as so-called organic, they have history of pesticide application. So here I have quoted one nice publication where they identified certain pesticide metabolites. So what happens when a pesticide is applied, maybe with time at the stage of harvest, the main pesticide might have got degraded. But it's possible that you may detect its conjugates or its secondary or tertiary metabolites. So such kind of metabolites are detected or identified. This means this pesticide was initially applied, but when you talk about organic cultivation, it was not supposed to have any pesticide application on farm. So detection of such pesticide metabolites in a crop commodity which is labeled as organic simply explains that this is a fraud happened. It's not organic labeled commodity. So last year we came across with a very informative article which summarized the food fraud vulnerability assessment tools and resources that are available in public arena and documented the gaps. Samuel Godfrey was a speaker in our earlier session what we organized in November 2020. So basically in this article they have mentioned there's so-called multi-stakeholder discussions which is happening across the globe on development and validation of globally acceptable methods and processes by which we can identify the fraud and combat food fraud, which is a policy decision. So understanding and creating standards for analytical detection method for fraud is a globally discussed subject. There are analytical detection methods, but question is that we need appropriate method performance requirements because we often find that appropriate technique is not used for identification of particular analyte or particular perspective. So one survey indicated that many of the food industries, they do not have adequate information or adequate understanding that which technique should be applied for what purpose. So then we cannot conclude anything out of such kind of testing. So non-targeted methods are evolving across the globe and show promise for detecting a wide range of possible adulterants because adulteration sources are variable. Sometimes these are very difficult to predict. So targeted identification often has a limitation. So various techniques which are coming up to find a screening solution approach or screening approach by which we can probably either identify a class of compound or it is extremely beneficial if we can identify the exact compound which might have caused any illness or any health hazard. One of the big challenges in this area is that there are very few detection methods that have been globally validated for food fraud detection. So AOAC has a very strong food authenticity methods program, and they have SMPRs, so which means standard method performance requirements, and these are basically evolving. Already several SMPRs are in existence, and these are always getting developed more and more to identify such kind of authenticity challenges and find possibilities by which appropriate methodology can be applied with proper performance of the method in terms of accuracy and precision of testing. So what a country like India or countries in this region they require? We require urgent research and capacity building on certain priority products. Like India has issues related to basmati rice. We have issues related to adulteration of tea, for example. We know that our Darjeeling tea is often adulterated. Sometimes cheaper tea available from certain adjoining countries, they are mixed with our Darjeeling tea and Assam tea, and that causes financial loss to the business houses. Seafood is a big problem. Dr. Niladji Chatterjee is there today to talk more on that. Spices is a well-known traditional problem, which is a priority item for Indian business, Indian food business. Honey, fruit juice, various GI commodities, these are always under trouble. But our system, Food Safety Standards Authority, is giving a lot of emphasis on this. But in many cases, what happens, appropriate methodology or appropriate technique or appropriate procedure is not available to identify or pinpoint such kind of problems. So development and implementation of food authenticity methods for regulatory testing is very important for us. So in this case, a single agency really cannot contribute much. Industry, academia, food authenticity network, initiative for intelligence, supply, authentic sample, and corporate stewardship, everything is essential. They should all work hand in hand to prevent such problem, to minimize such problems. Industry-funded research in food authenticity is very important because that guides us that what kind of project people should take. Food fraud vulnerability audit of Indian food commodities is important, not only for India, across the globe, everywhere it is important. And finally, we need to participate in the global effort for food authentication. So, this much I basically wanted to tell in this talk. You all know that authentic food is a social good that benefits consumers, and ensuring that the food supply is authentic is good governance. So that's the reason every regulatory system talks about food authenticity, food fraud, food adulteration. Pursuit of a food system that is authentic as well as healthy and sustainable should and can be achieved. And this is only achievable if we all work together, if we all come out with appropriate methods and techniques. And it's great that AOSC International has a MOU with our Food Safety Standards Authority of India. Through this forum, we can come out with some conclusion, some direction, which we will be able to communicate to our Food Safety Authority, and that will be implementable in this region, not only in India, maybe all South Asian, Southeast Asian countries, and in this entire area. And being a member of AOSC International and being a co-chair of AOSC International sections, I also would like to let you know that whatever we conclude or whatever discussion arises, it will be possible to communicate to all other section members so that people comes to know about it. And I'm sure various other sections are also participating in this today's program. Either today or maybe in future they will access the recordings online. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best, and I appreciate this endeavor of Thermo Fisher Scientific, and wish you a great program today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Banerjee, for your presentation.